Welcome in, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Absolutely, always excited to jump into these.
Today, we're looking at Psalm 121,
A classic. Beautiful words of comfort and reassurance.
and we've got some really interesting sources to help unpack it.
Oh, late on me.
First, a personal story from the Help from Our God devotional that just brings the message of the psalm to life.
I love those real-life connections. Makes it all so much more, well, real.
And then we'll look at the lyrics from My Help Cometh from the Lord, the gospel song.
Oh, I know that one. Powerful stuff. The music adds another layer of meaning, doesn't it?
Totally. Okay, so this story from the devotional, it's about a group coming back from a church camp meeting. And, they hit a bit of a snag on their way home.
Let me guess. Engine trouble. Got lost. Ran out of gas.
Worse, not one, but two flat tires.
Ooh, that's rough. And I'm guessing they were out in the middle of nowhere.
Miles from anywhere. Talk about a test of faith, right?
Right out of Psalm 121, literally. The psalmist talks about lifting up their eyes to the mountains for help. And that's exactly what these folks did. They looked to God when they were stuck.
And they prayed. Hard. And you know what? The tire they were actually driving on, it reinflated just enough to get them back on the freeway.
No way.
Yep. Barely holding air, but enough to keep them moving. Makes you think, right? Coincidence. Or a little nudge from above.
You know, that's the mystery of it all, isn't it? Our human understanding can only go so far. But Psalm 121, it speaks to that tension, that space where our limits meet God's limitless power.
It does. Okay, but the story doesn't end there. They knew they couldn't keep driving on that tire, right?
Right. What do they do?
They felt like they should look for a tire shop in the next town. But come on, finding the exact tires they needed out in the boonies, it seemed impossible.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat here. What happened?
So they find a shop,
Uh-huh.
and the guy working there, he tells them about two tires he set aside earlier. For no real reason. He just felt like he should get them ready, like someone would need them.
Whoa. You're kidding.
So it's like straight out of the Psalm where it says, He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. They needed help, they asked for it, and bam, there was.
It gives me chills. You know, that's the heart of it, isn't it? Our help comes from a source beyond ourselves, a source that's always there, never sleeps, never gets tired of looking out for us.
Totally. But here's the thing. Most of us aren't dealing with double flat tires on a deserted road every day. How does this connect with the everyday stuff?
That's a good point. But think about it. That flat tire, that could be any challenge, right? Anytime we feel stuck, lost, helpless.
Okay, I see what you mean, like financial trouble, health problems, relationship issues,
Sure.
or just feeling overwhelmed by life.
Exactly. And when Psalm 121 talks about lifting up our eyes, it's not just about looking for a quick fix. It's about shifting our whole perspective, recognizing that we need something bigger than ourselves to get through it.
So that same trust those travelers had, that dependence on a higher power, that's what the psalm is getting at.
Right on. And that leads us perfectly into our next source, those gospel song lyrics. But we'll save that for after the break. You know, these lyrics, they take the ideas from the psalm and really make you feel them. It's like we're hearing the psalmist's heart, not just their words.
And they start with such a simple but powerful image, right? I lift up mine eyes to the hills. It's just so evocative.
It really is. Especially when you think about what hills and mountains represented back then. They were seen as sacred, places where heaven and earth kind of met.
So when the psalmist talks about lifting their eyes to the hills, it's not just about admiring the scenery, is it?
Not at all. It's a spiritual thing, you know, a way of acknowledging that real help, lasting help, comes from somewhere beyond ourselves.
And then the song makes that connection super clear, right? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're talking about the ultimate source of power here.
And that power, it translates into a promise of protection. Like in the line, He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. God saying, I'm with you every step of the way. You won't stumble. I won't let you. I'm always watching over you.
That imagery always gets me. God's constant watchfulness. It's like a parent staying up all night with a sick child. They never leave their side.
Perfect analogy. And then the song goes even deeper with that feeling of closeness, you know. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. It's not just protection. It's God being right there with you, shielding you from harm.
I love that image of shade. But what kind of shade are we talking about? Is it literal, like shade from the sun, or something more symbolic?
Probably both, to be honest. I mean, in that part of the world, shade was essential, right? Scorching heat. But it also represents refuge, comfort, like being shelter from a storm.
Spiritual oasis, kind of.
Exactly. And it's not just about physical protection either. It's emotional, spiritual, all of it. God's care covers all the bases, right? He protects us from physical harm, but also from fear, worry, despair, offers that place of peace even when things are tough.
And the song, it really captures that sense of peace, that deep trust in God, like you're leaning on him, knowing he'll take care of you.
It does, doesn't it? It's not just about knowing facts about God. It's about experiencing his goodness and faithfulness on a deeper level. It's about that feeling of, okay, I'm not alone in this. Someone's got me.
So we've got this incredible story of God showing up in the middle of a crisis, and then these song lyrics that just go straight to the heart, expressing that trust in God's care. It's amazing how these two very different sources, they actually fit together so well.
They do, don't they? It's like the devotional story. It gives us a real-world example, something we can relate to, makes those psalm verses come to life. And the song,
Yeah.
it goes deeper, right? It explores the emotions, those feelings of gratitude, awe, even surrender when you realize just how much God loves us and cares for us.
It's like the story speaks to our heads, and the song speaks to our hearts. And when those two things connect, that's where faith really becomes something powerful.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Faith isn't just about what we believe in our minds. It's about how we experience God in our hearts, in our lives. And that changes everything, you know?
Yeah, so you need both, right? The head and the heart working together.
Absolutely. That's where the real transformation happens. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Psalm 121, what are some key things we want our listener to take away?
Well, first off, that message of God's constant care, like it just runs through everything we've talked about, right?
It does. No matter what we're facing, flat tires, mountains, whatever it is, we're not alone. He's there.
Our keeper, our shade, always ready to help. Like you said, it's not just a passive thing either. Right?
Oh, definitely not. He's actively engaged, guiding us, protecting us, whispering encouragement, not just watching from a distance.
It's that image from the song, right? The Lord is our shade upon our right hand.
Yeah, so powerful. Psalm 121, it's not just something nice to read, it's a way of life, you know? It's choosing to live with that awareness of God's presence and care every single day.
Easier said than done sometimes, though.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the middle of something difficult. It's easy to forget about the bigger picture.
It is, but that's where those stories, those lyrics, they can really help. Remind us that God's working, even when we can't see it. Like, he's got a plan, even if we don't know all the
I
details.
think it was the flat tires, right?
Yeah.
And the shop owner just happening to have the exact tires they needed out of the blue.
Exactly. Sometimes it's those little things that really make you stop and think, oh, yeah, maybe there's something more going on here.
So as we go about our day, how can we keep this message alive? How do we actually apply it to our lives, practically speaking?
Well, one thing I always try to do is just take a moment throughout the day to really lift up my eyes. Like literally stop, take a breath, and acknowledge that God's there.
Simple but powerful, right?
It is. Ask for his guidance. Thank him for his care. Just hand over those worries to him. Let go of that burden.
And when those tough times come, because they always do, remember those flat tires? Remember those song lyrics that really spoke to you?
Let them be a reminder. You're not alone. Your help comes from the Lord, the one who made it all. He never sleeps, never getting tired of watching over you, and he's always got you covered.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Psalm 121, everyone. Hope you leave feeling a little bit lighter, a little more hopeful, and knowing that you are never alone.